The multi-billion-dollar Bear River Development Project is meant to address future municipal water shortages, but some environmentalists say it could be detrimental to the health of the Great Salt Lake. ABC4's Lena Takata live in studio tonight with more on solutions to Utah's water crisis. Lena.
Glenn, the Great Salt Lake is a refuge for millions of migrating birds and home to numerous plants and animals. But this oasis in the desert is shrinking rapidly, losing 11 feet of water since levels were first recorded, according to researchers at Utah State University. In contrast to the Great Salt Lake, Utah's population is growing. A report by the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute at the University of Utah shows the population of Utah will grow by about 2.2 million people, or 66% by 2060.
Naturally, we have to have a robust water supply to provide for economic growth, and we have a very good economy here in the state of Utah.
The rapid growth of the state, coupled with the worst drought the western United States has experienced in 1,200 years, could lead Utah into a municipal water shortage, according to Bart Forsyth, the general manager of Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District.
I know that our state leaders don't want to see water supply shortages get in the way of future economic growth.
Utah state legislators had foreseen this possible shortage decades ago and passed the Bear River Development Act in 1991.
Which directs and authorizes us to plan to use the Bear River water for the municipal and industrial needs of the area.
When fully developed, the project is expected to divert about 2,200 acre-feet of water out of the Bear River. The need for the project was projected to begin in 2015. But Candice Hassenjaeger, the director of Utah Division of Water Resources, says due to updated technology and conservation efforts, the need was pushed out to 2040 or 2050.
We are looking at purchasing right-of-way through a narrow stretch of corridor to get ahead of development.
We're going to save the lake.
But Zach Frankel, the executive director of the Utah River Council, is concerned about what taking water out of the Bear River could mean for the Great Salt Lake.
The Bear River provides 60 to 65% of the Great Salt Lake's surface water on an annual basis. It's the single largest source of water of the lake.
Dr. Kevin Perry, an associate professor at the University of Utah, echoes those sentiments. Dr. Perry says even without the Bear River project, the state of the Great Salt Lake has changed dramatically since the legislation was passed. And the drought isn't the only thing to blame.
But there was a study done at Utah State University that has shown that 2/3 of the lake loss has been to excessive water diversion, and only about 1/3 of the current lake loss is due to our current drought.
Dr. Perry says as the lake shrinks, it exposes lake bed.
Every single measurement that I took of soil samples from the bed of the Great Salt Lake had high concentrations of arsenic in them.
And the exposed lake bed can blow into the air millions of residents breathe.
Over time, if people are exposed to arsenic from the dust over decades, it'll increase the risk of lung cancer and other types of cancers associated with the respiratory system.
Both Hassenjaeger and Forsyth also agree diverting water from the Bear River will impact the Great Salt Lake.
Really looking for how do we kind of grow and conserve the amount of water we have today, so we can push off the need for Bear River development into the future.
But Forsyth says conservation efforts may not be enough to meet the water needs of the Salt Lake Valley.
We don't believe at this point that we can out-conserve the need for new water supplies in the future. Although we need to do all we can to conserve now before we go out and try to develop more water in the Great Salt Lake Basin.
Frankel says there are alternatives to the Bear River Development Project, including removing the property taxes subsidizing water costs in Utah, which would make people more aware of their excessive water use.
We could raise water rates for large institutional users that are using 1 million gallons or 5 million gallons of water every single month and lower our water demand. We could put meters on all the secondary water users tomorrow, which would lower our water demand by 40% without even raising water rates to those users.
And says implementing these measures could help taxpayers pay less in the long run while preserving the Great Salt Lake for the next generation.
If you care about your air quality, you better pay attention to what's happening at the Great Salt Lake and with Bear River development.
According to the Utah Division of Water Resources, the project is estimated to cost between $1.5 and $2.8 billion. An updated cost estimate will be available when environmental studies are complete and designs are determined. Back to you.